thought it was time I did an update on how I'm going on the carnivore diet. Hi there, if you've not visited my channel before, my name is Sue and I started on the carnivore diet in May, the end of May 2022, so it's been pretty much 20 months since I started. It's hard to believe it's almost 2 years and it's gone that quickly. So what's changed in the last almost 2 years? Lots and lots has changed. So for me, if you've not been here or seen my videos, my history was lots and lots of gut issues, IBS, diarrhea for decades, anxiety, weight issues. I also had been exposed to lots and lots of mold in my workplace in particular, but in homes that I've lived in as well over the years when I think back. And so the mold exposure was causing me problems because I was having neurological issues as well. So prior to starting on carnivore, I was having dizzy spells where I felt like I was going to pass out, and I had had vertigo off and on for over a decade. And I was having kind of like, I was aware I was having cognitive kind of issues, like just my memory not working properly and my brain not working properly. And so there was lots going on in my body. And I didn't come from a standard diet, like people assume that when you start on carnivore that you've come from just your standard processed food diet. That wasn't me. I've had years of really clean eating, high plant-based eating. I'd been vegan in the past to my detriment, and vegetarian for over a decade. So even once I started eating meat again, which was probably around 2005, 2006, I still was very focused on eating plants because I believed that they were the healthiest option. And with my gut health and everything being the way that it was, I wasn't digesting my food, and there was just so much going on. And I kind of got to the point where things were getting so bad I didn't kind of know where to turn. I'm not a fan of mainstream medicine, so I don't go to doctors. So I've spent the last many decades looking after my own health and only going to doctors if I actually needed some blood tests or something done. So that's kind of where I found myself 2 years ago, and the carnivore diet had been mentioned to me by my daughter. I thought it was nuts, and that was a couple of years prior to starting. And then I'd gone onto the keto diet, was losing some weight, but my health wasn't improving. Was still having the dizzy spells. I was having nosebleeds every day. That was the other thing. Nosebleeds every day and dizzy spells every day. And I was still having those on keto. And so I heard Dr. Mindy Pell's interviewing Dr. Paul Saladino about carnivore, and it just rung some bells with me, and I decided to try it. So I thought I'd try it for 30 days. And that was on the 30th of May, 2022. Now, since then, I have had a very bumpy journey. I think because of everything that was going on in my body, it's taken me a long time to get even reasonably healed, and I've had to take some kind of little detours along the way. But I find myself now with my gut health finally really feeling like it's almost there. So I'm not going to go through everything that I've done. I ended up learning that SIBO was probably my problem, and I ended up following a SIBO protocol, but then adding some other bits in. If you want to know exactly what I've done, if you've got gut issues, I've got a step-by-step on my website. I'll put a link to that below, so you can check that out, because at the bottom of that blog post I have step-by-step everything that I use and everything that I did to get to where I am now. And I also, one of the things that I did use was SIBO yogurt, and I sat there yesterday and I typed up instructions on how to make the SIBO yogurt. I've done a couple of videos on it, but I actually typed up the instructions and everything that I use, and so I will put a link to that download underneath this video as well if you want that. Right, so apart from my gut health being massively resolved, one of the things that I discovered recently, which I had suspected, was that I have fairly full-on MTHFR gene variations, and so they affect my methylation, which is probably a big part of the reason, or at least a decent chunk of the reason why my health has always been the way that it has. And, you know, I realised when I was really young that I couldn't get away with things that other people around me could get away with. I've had a body that, you know, if I mistreat it, it becomes a really horrible place to live in. And so since my early 30s, I've kind of been on this path to trying to work out how to keep my body in a good place, and when it gets out of feeling good, getting it back there, because that's changed as I've gotten older. And through kind of this series of unfortunate events through my life, I'm about to turn 60 in about 3 weeks. There's been kind of one thing on top of another that has impacted my health, and that comes down to the MTHFR stuff, being affected by mold, being affected by stress, and other things as well. So I kind of had this accumulation of things that had been affecting me, and that was kind of what I was trying to deal with. So with the MTHFR, I've been kind of digging into information about nutrition and stuff. So I've been trying to incorporate organ meats into my diet because they have the nutrition that I need. So I've started eating liver over the last few weeks, and I have just eaten my first heart yesterday, and I just popped a video up onto my channel about that. That was quite hard to wrap my head around, because I just don't like the thought of eating that sort of thing. I'm not used to eating them, so it was a little bit of a challenge for me, but I got there and it was actually okay. It tasted okay. It was just the mind thing. So if you want to watch that video, I just popped that one up yesterday. That was the last video before this one. So my learning and my understanding about what's been going on in my body is growing with time, and so the MTHFR thing makes a lot of sense. And with the impact that the mold has had on my body, I've also been learning about mitochondria and finding ways to work with that as well. And that's a really fascinating subject that I'm going to talk about in a video very shortly. So back to my changes since I've been on the carnivore diet. So my weight is still a lot higher than I want it to be. My weight loss has been really painfully slow. My body composition has changed a lot though, and so even though I've dropped a few kilos, my clothing size has gone down by about 2 sizes, and especially in the upper half of my body. And so I've got a lot more muscle on me and less body fat, and so things are changing, and I'm on a bit of a mission this year to get that changed lots. So I'm actually just about to start back on the Lion diet. I did try Lion about 5 months ago and ended up quitting after 17 days because I had 17 days of diarrhea. And because that's been my history for so long, and things were a little bit better when I went on to Lion, and I just had diarrhea every day. I was just like, after 17 days, I thought, I can't do this. And that's when I started on this SIBO protocol, and so lots has changed. So in the last few days, nearly a week I guess, I have been eating just red meat. I've stopped eating eggs. I've stopped eating all dairy as well, except for the SIBO yogurt. So I'm still eating that at the moment, but I made my last batch the other day. I've got enough now probably for about 2 or 3 days, and then that'll be it, and then it'll be red meat only. I'm still drinking my green tea at the moment and some decaf. I will probably stop those as well. The green tea is something that I've been drinking for my gut health as well, because green tea, according to Dr. Davis, whose Super Gut book was part of the protocol that I used, he says that the green tea helps to build the mucus lining in your small intestine. So that's kind of why I'm still drinking that at the moment. But I will probably stop again, I think. I'm actually picking now that with what I've learned, that when I went onto the Lion diet last time, the diarrhea was probably actually still microbiome die-off. That was the problem, and even though I was well over a year into the carnivore diet, my microbiome was obviously still way out of whack, and but now it seems to be it's a whole lot better. And so my skin, I had some little skin issues in the past, little patches of eczema and stuff over the years. I used to get those big blind kind of pimples years ago. And what I found when I started on carnivore was I started kind of getting some of those again. And I actually had a lot of trouble with the skin on my face for the first, crikey, probably close to a year on carnivore. It's only really just settling down now. I've got photographs, and I'll pop a couple up here. So you can see my skin, I would have days where it would just really break out and look terrible. And I think some of that was oxalate dumping, and I think some of it was to do with my gut health as well, my microbiome perhaps, things changing. And so when I first started on carnivore, I actually started wearing makeup every day, which isn't something that I normally do, just because my skin was so bad, and I could see people around me that knew I was doing the carnivore diet kind of looking at me. They'd say to me, "Are you still eating your meat diet?" And I'd be like, "Yep." And you could see their brain ticking over, thinking, "Oh my God, your skin looks like crap," because it really did. And but I knew that it was just part of the detox. It was part of the process. The other thing that I've had going on is a scalp issue, and that started about 6 months into my carnivore diet. And it got really bad. It was really bad for quite a long time. So it's been over a year that I've had this, but it's gradually getting better. And I have some days where it's actually quite good now. It's still itchy and it's still flaky. If you have a look at my videos, if I've got black t-shirts on, you'll see little bits on my lip because I have got this dandruff, I guess. It's not like, it's quite weird because it's not like bits of skin, it's like bits of little hard sand almost. And I don't know whether it's an oxalate dumping thing or what it is. I suspect that I maybe had quite a lot of oxalate in my head. Your body stores it in places, and I wonder whether some of the neurological stuff that I had going on was partly because of the oxalate and mold kind of connected. Mold exposure can leave you more open to oxalate issues. So I kind of was wondering whether that's what is still coming through my scalp. I mean, it's been a long time, but prior to carnivore, I had had 2 years where I couldn't be out in the sun for more than about 5 minutes, or my face would just burn really badly. And oxalate in the skin can cause you to be more sensitive to the sun. So I kind of think that this still has something to do with that. I'm not really sure, but it's lots better. And as I said, it has days where it's really, really good, and it's nowhere near as lumpy and bumpy and scaly and horrible as it was. The other skin issue that I've had that has kind of come on just in the last probably 6 months, it's just some little patches of eczema type stuff, or I don't know if it's like eczema. I don't think it's psoriasis. It's just like little eczema patches across my lower back and a few patches on one leg, and they came up quite flaky and itchy and raised, and but they're settling down now as well. They've been there probably for about 4 months, I guess, maybe a little bit longer, but yeah, they seem to be finally going away as well. So my oxalate dumping symptoms are way better as well. I had such a long time with really constant oxalate dumping symptoms. The diarrhea, part of the reason for that, I know, was oxalate. I had sandy stools and burning and all the rest of it. I had vulvodynia. So I had vulvodynia before I went on to carnivore, and that was one of the reasons that I knew I had an issue with oxalate prior to carnivore. And then when I started on carnivore, after a couple of months, I started getting vulvodynia again, even though I wasn't eating any oxalate. And I went through a very long time where I would have it probably 3 days out of 7, 4 days out of 7. It would come, and it would be there for a few days, then it would go away for a couple of days, and then it'd be back again. And then it would be there for a few days, then it would go away, and then it'd be back again. And that was just constant with the diarrhea, with the skin issues, with the muscle pain, and different joint pains, random joint pains and things like that. So most of that is all settled down. I still get vulvodynia occasionally, very occasionally. It'll come up probably every couple of months, maybe I might get it. And what happens is, like the last time it happened was just a couple of weeks ago. I got really sore ankles, and both ankles, the joints of my ankles were really sore. And I was like, why are my ankles sore? And then a day or two later, I had vulvodynia, and I was like, that's why my ankles are sore, because I'm oxalate dumping. Oxalate's been shifting. So the ankle pain actually had gone away by the time the vulvodynia started, and the vulvodynia was there for a few days, and then it went away. So this is still a process. You know, I'm almost, as I said, almost 2 years in. Still happening. I still get a lot of plaque on my teeth, my bottom teeth in particular, which is oxalate as well. I'll go through stages where there really isn't any, and then all of a sudden it's full on again. And I have the occasional time still where my teeth get really sore as well, in particular my bottom teeth, and then they'll all settle down. But that doesn't happen very often now. But the plaque on my teeth, the tartar build up, definitely seems to happen very suddenly, and picking it off, and then it'll be not too bad for a while, and then it comes back. So my gum disease, I had gum disease. My gums are a lot more settled than they were, but still not resolving. I'm hoping that they will eventually resolve, because my gums are quite receded across my bottom teeth. They're not getting any worse, and as I said, they're a lot less inflamed, because they used to get quite inflamed behind my front teeth, which the oxalate and the tartar buildup causes it to flare up sometimes, but that's becoming less as well. So it's getting there, and hopefully one day I'll look in the mirror and my gums will be back where they should be. And the last thing that I've got on my little list here is that I truly feel like I'm aging backwards, and that is such a good feeling. That for me, that's the way that you know what you're doing is right, because as I said, I'm about to turn 60 in about 3 weeks, and I felt like I was 60 2 years ago. Now I don't. Now I don't feel like I'm 60. I feel probably like I did when I was in my 40s maybe, and it gets better and better all the time. I'm happy with the way that my skin is changing. I'm happy with the way my body is changing. I just wish it would change faster. But that's just one of those things. And I think that my habitual being stressed and being in this fight or flight thing, which I've spoken about before, with my anxiety, and that is a part of the reason for that. And I've found something that I think is helping massively with that, and I'm going to talk about that soon. So with a bit of luck, I can get this weight off this year, and might actually get the body that I've always wanted, because I've never ever had it, and even as a teenager. So fingers crossed, we will see. Hubby and I have started sprinting, and so we're doing that every second day at the moment, although I had to have a week off last week because I hurt my leg. Again, done it twice now. The second time was worse than the first, so I had a week off. I was only going to have a few days off, and then we went away last weekend to see my grandchildren, and so I thought, well, I'll leave it until we come back, and my leg's been fine since. So the sprinting when we first started was just, for me, it was so funny, and so I felt so cumbersome and heavy and uncoordinated, but it's getting better, and we are videoing ourselves once a week so that I can create a video later with a compilation of the improvement over time. So that's it for my carnivore journey. If you have any comments or questions, please fire away below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. I thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you like this video, and I will talk to you again another day. Goodbye for now.